Welcome back to the channel. This is the very first episode of the EFL review. We'll be looking at how I called the games to go this weekend, as well as what actually happened, and for this week, how wrong I was about so many games. And also, at the end of the video, I will be doing a player of the week, team of the week, surprise result, and biggest disappointment for both League One and League Two. So stick around to see who I go for. In no particular order, up first, we're going to do Plymouth versus Barnsley. Now, I had Plymouth to win this one, and it was mainly down to Barnsley making a bit of a slow start. 10 minutes in, I thought I'd got it spot on. Plymouth went 1-0 up, but it was later disallowed. I'm not too sure really what it was disallowed for. I think Plymouth fans, you were unlucky there. Not to take anything away from Phillips, it was a fantastic strike for the goal. As well as Davis Keller-Dunn, who took his goal very well. It was a good finish. But Plymouth have a lot of work to do if, as I predicted, they are going to go up in the automatic places. They are going to have to sort that defence out as soon as possible. Up next, we've got Bradford versus Wickham. I called this as a Bradford win. I thought they'd just have a bit too much. The place would be bouncing, and I'm really unsure in terms of how well Wickham will do this season. Bradford took both of their goals really well, and they look a real handful going forward. Humphreys looks very lively from the wing, and arguably you could say he had 2 assists. I know they're not proper ones, but he was so instrumental in the goals. I think he's going to have a very good season for them. Doncaster versus Exeter. I predicted Doncaster to win the game, and they did. They won 1-0, but let me be honest, this could have been 3 or 4, and on another day they would have put the chances away. Molyneux looks the real deal. He's brought his form from League 2 into League 1, looked a real handful, looks very sharp, and will be a huge player for them this season. Exeter, not much to say, need to be better moving forward. This is the sort of form that could see them go down. I did predict them to go down, and they're going to have to make some changes if they want to stay up. This was a very good example of what's to come, unfortunately, I think, for you Exeter fans. Rotherham versus Port Vale, a game that really had it all, if we're going to be honest. 2 red cards. A couple of goals as well, 2 scored by Sam Nomby, who had a very good game. The first goal was the pick of the bunch. Joe Rafferty turned into a prime Trent Alexander-Arnold. It was a fantastic ball that was finished well. All credit should go to both him and Nomby. A great goal. Very direct. Not sure if that might be a sign of things to come for both of the goals, to be honest. One was a set-piece goal as well, but a fantastic ball, a very well-taken goal. As for the red cards, 100% both of them were red cards. There's no doubt in my mind. As for Port Vale, it was a lovely goal that they did score, a very nicely worked goal, but what I will say is they did very well considering they were down to 10. Ultimately though, for Port Vale, not quite enough, off the post right at the death, and I genuinely thought it went in. I predicted a draw. Rotherham did get the win. It was very close, but Rotherham fans, you must be happy. A decent performance. Huddersfield versus Leyton Orient. Now, I predicted this to be a draw. I thought Huddersfield were going to have a really tough time in terms of gelling as a team. Are they going to be able to put it together up against Leyton Orient, who on paper should be a really tough test? And yeah, I got this one completely wrong. All credit to Huddersfield. What a performance. New signing scoring. The team gelling, doing very well. Overall, fantastic day out for Huddersfield. When I did my prediction series, I had Joe Lowe as the man that was going to be the key player. And when I did that, I didn't have him down as scoring goals. So when I saw he was the one to get the first, I was very surprised. But that just shows his game all round. He will get the odd goal here or there, but he was also very solid at the back as well. Huddersfield fans, let me know in the comments down below. How did you see your debutants play? Are you happy? Are you excited? And I know you're already going to say it, but do you think you're going to win the league? Little mention as well for Alfie May, as I mentioned, got a goal on his debut. No penalty had been scored at the Kirklees Stadium for 1,984 days. And then they signed the EFL bagsman, and that no longer exists. So that's what Alfie May does. Very good start to life in League One for him again. Huddersfield, it's all looking good right now. As for Cardiff versus Peterborough, I actually called this one perfectly. I said Cardiff were going to dominate the game, which they did. I said Peterborough were going to be dangerous on the break, which they were. And I do think that Firth had a good game for them in that regard. He looked busy. He'll need time to settle in, but he did look a good signing. Special shout out to Ollie Tanner and Ruben Colwill. Colwill ran the show. I do think there's areas of his game he needs to improve on. There was a few wayward passes, which are always going to happen. That's not a problem. But I just feel sometimes that there's a sloppy pass in him. And I think if he can get that sorted, prove that he's one of the best players in League One, which I think he is. I had him down as my key player for Cardiff this season. And then I think iron out a couple of those little mistakes. The lad could go as far as the Premier League. Really good player. Ollie Tanner looks the complete winger. Didn't quite do too well in the Championship, but if he needs a season in League One to flourish and then make the move back, I can see it. Very talented player. Very impressive performance. I have to mention Capacchio as well. Right back, 18 years of age, making his debut. What a performance. A goal as well. And by the way, what a finish on the goal. But overall, he looked really solid. And I think that Cardiff fans, the more important side of his game was his defensive work. And every time he was called upon, up to the test, physically looked strong as well. You guys could have a real gem on your hands in there. I do have to say Cardiff were holding on a little bit towards the end, but 3 points was the aim. That's what they got. Perfect start for Cardiff. And yeah, who knows where they'll finish this season. After watching that, I might want to put them higher where I predicted them, and that was, I believe, 8. Luton versus AFC Wimbledon, and this one was tough to watch. Wimbledon defended really, really well, and I was very impressed of how solid they were, and they really deserved a point in the end, in my opinion. It was such a shame that Johnson's header looped over the keeper, off the bar and in. On another day, that hits off the bar and goes out for a corner, or it just anything happens, the keeper catches it, and it's so unfortunate that that is how you end up dropping the points. But with that, regardless of the loss, Wimbledon fans, you must be taking some positives away from that, and let me know how you see your team doing this season. But I think if that's a sign of things to come, they will grind out results and they will get some goals along the way as well. Overall, not a bad performance, just a shame about the result. As for Luton, to me personally, I'm actually a little bit worried about Luton. Everyone has them to walk this league, but from what I saw in that game, they didn't create many clear-cut chances. I don't necessarily think the team played as well as it should, considering the level of a lot of those players. And overall, I'm worried that there's just not going to be enough goals along the way. There is plenty of room for improvement for Luton, and I think we will see it, and they may take a bit of time to ease into the season. Nonetheless, 3 points, and Jerry Yates was paraded around as well. I think overall, Luton fans, nothing to worry about, but if you find a few more performances like this, the playoffs automatics might be a difficult place to get to. So we're going to have to see how they bounce back and how they really settle into this season before we can cast a judgment. But 3 points, that's all that matters. Up next, it is my game of the week, Stockport versus Bolton. I covered it in my predictions episode. I said this is the game to watch out for. Both teams had their moments in the first half. Bolton, in my opinion, actually looked the more threatening. But it was Malik Mothersill on his debut that fired Stockport into the lead at halftime. And it was one of those moments where you just felt, what a time to score. The whole halftime team talk changes a little bit because now you're 1-0 up. Stockport came out in the second half and they really got a hold of the game. Bolton did come back into it a little bit at times. And Bolton fans, what I will say is that you will carve through teams this season. Corey Adai made some good saves at pivotal moments, but overall, Bolton, I wouldn't be too worried. I think you lost to the better team on the day. Kyle Wootton was the standout for me. A great performance. The way that he holds the ball up and brings Stockport back into play is superb. Got himself a goal as well. Him and Lowe in the 4-4-2 wasn't as effective, but also the game plan probably shifted because they were winning and they wanted to just hold on to the lead. But Stockport fans, let me know what you think. Is that the form of this season's champions? Maybe, because they're only going to get better, and that was still a good performance as well. Very excited with Malik Mothersill. I think he might actually go on to be the key player for them this season. Sometimes you see a winger take a bit of time to gel in, and the confidence isn't necessarily there. He wanted the ball. He wanted to go past players. What an exciting signing, proving why they paid all the money for him. Blackpool versus Stevenage, and where to start on this one. So I went for a Blackpool win, and when Honeyman scored the first goal, and he took it very well for that as well, I was very confident that this was going to be a correct prediction. I had it in my bet. I was unbelievably confident. But then Blackpool provided a calamity of errors for all of Stevenage's goals, and credit to Stevenage, they took the goals well. You can never take away from that, but what were Blackpool doing at times? Bailey Peacock-Farrell, I think he could have done better on the penalty save. I've seen a lot of Blackpool fans not the most excited about him. I also think that pass out from the back. Listen, I'm all for keepers to pass out from the back, and I think it's a very good way to build up, and you can take a lot of players out doing it. But you've got to get it right. And if you don't have a keeper that can do it, don't try and do it. And I think they really, really got caught out here. It was a huge mistake. Blackpool need to sort things out quickly, and I'm going to be very interested to see if Steve Bruce keeps Peacock-Farrell in goal or makes a move to put someone else in. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe that's a bit premature, but from what I saw and what I've heard previously from other fans at other clubs, yeah, this one might not work out as a good signing overall for Blackpool. Wigan versus Northampton now. I went for a Wigan win. I was very confident they'd have enough to get the job done. I don't necessarily fancy Northampton as a team this season. I do think Wigan are going to do quite well. Bit of a no-brainer. And yeah, Wigan got the job done. It was a 3-1 win. Murray converted a lovely Hungbo ball for the first. Hungbo with a fantastic corner for the second as well. It's a great start for Wigan. As for Northampton, I think, the goal was actually defended quite poorly from Wigan. Wigan, you're going to have to look at that in terms of set pieces. A goal nonetheless, but it's going to be a long, hard season for Northampton. As for Lincoln versus Reading, I went for a Reading win on this one, and I really thought that Reading were going to just have too much for Lincoln, but wow, was I wrong on that one. As much as Reading were unlucky to concede the first goal, it was a wicked deflection, and the keeper had no chance. The second goal, though, that was such a well-worked goal. Hackett with a great finish. But McGrandles, what a ball. Outside the football, perfectly weighted. That's the sort of assist that win you games, and I think in this instance, it has. Reading showed some good signs at times, but overall, Lincoln, maybe a force to be reckoned with. A great first win for them. Reading need to bounce back when they're at home. They lost Nibs this week as well, so no goals, no Nibs. Desperate for a home game, and they're going to really need to show the fans that there is stability there and that over time they will mount a push for the playoffs, but it might be a slow start. Finally, Bolton versus Mansfield, and only one thing to say on this. Charlie Webster, what a performance. Two absolute screamers, showing why he is one of the best players in League One, and I said he was going to be their key player, and boy did he prove it. Game week 1. Burton, great start to the season, 3 points, exactly what you were after. As for Mansfield, McLaughlin with a great ball for the goal. There wasn't much to talk on Mansfield really. I did predict this to be a draw. Burton got the win, so I was close, but Mansfield never really looked like scoring a second. All credit to Burton. As I say, great start to the season. League One Player of the Week, it's going to have to be Charlie Webster. Two absolute screamers for his goals and helped Burton beat Mansfield. Great start for Burton. Even better start for Charlie Webster. Big season ahead for him. Team of the Week, I'm going to go for Huddersfield. What a performance by them. I really think that they gelled a lot quicker than I've given them credit for. Is Lee Grant the real deal? Maybe. Am I getting sucked into the excitement? Yes. Huddersfield Town, I predicted you to come fourth, but after that performance, who knows? It could even be automatic promotion now, but a lot to be excited about if you are a Huddersfield Town fan. Surprise of the week, it's going to actually be Blackpool. Now, Stevenage, all credit, as I say, their first ever win at Bloomfield Road, may I add. But Blackpool, it was the manner of which that you lost the game. 3 mistakes. Blackpool realistically should have won the game. Take nothing away from Stevenage, as I say. But Blackpool, biggest surprise of the week, had them down to win that quite comfortably. Biggest disappointment, I'm going to go for Plymouth. I have them down to finish second. And yes, they are still allowed to make a slow start, but it was the manner of which they lost the game as well. They had a man advantage for 30 minutes. In that 30 minutes, they conceded a goal. They lost 3-1. Barnsley were the better team on the day. Tom Cleverley with a lot of work to do. Let me know down in the comments if you think I've got that right. Are there any other honourable mentions? Let me know. I'll be doing this every single week, so follow along to see who I go with next week. Up first for League 2, it is Barnet versus Fleetwood. I, of course, went for a Barnet win. I really thought they were going to come up, put a statement victory down, but unfortunately, it didn't quite happen for them. Owen Evans, unfortunately, had an absolute howler. He nearly gave the ball away minutes before, trying to dawdle on the ball too long, playing out from the back. Eventually, it was a horrible touch straight into the Fleetwood striker, and Fleetwood capitalised on the goal. At the time, Barnet were the better team, and the life just seemed to be sucked out of the ground. It's one of those ones where you're watching the striker run through, you know you've made a mistake, and in all fairness to him, he did make a couple of saves, but you can't afford to do that at this level. It was a great finish from Bonds for the second, and Fleetwood took the goal very well. Fleetwood starting in the best way they could have done, a big 2-0 away win. Barnet can't afford to make the mistakes, have to take their chances. Overall, if you are a Barnet fan, I would argue a disappointing start to the season because it could have been so much more. Now on to who I went for League 2 Game of the Week, MK Dons versus Oldham. Favourites to win the championship, newly promoted side. I was expecting fireworks and it finished 0-0. MK Dons, you were denied a clear penalty, and I'm sure as fans you must be furious. We're never going to see VAR in League 2, and whatever you think of VAR, if you like it or not, that was a prime example of a decision in the Premier League that would have been corrected. It was a bad call, it was a clear penalty, and ultimately it's lost MK Dons 2 points. The Oldham penalty decision, never a penalty, rightful yellow card, it was a dive. But look, Oldham fans, you can be satisfied not to lose the game. At the end of the season, you'll look back at that and think we got a point at MK Dons, who may well go on to win the league. So overall for you, a good result. MK Dons, disappointing start to the season. This was a game that you really needed to sort of win to show that you are ready to make a push. But give Paul Warne time. I'm sure the side is still gelling, and it will be interesting to see where they are by Christmas. Up next, Walsall versus Swindon. I went for a Swindon win, and Walsall managed to win the game 2-1. What a goal from Weir. Unbelievable free kick. And I have to say, I love when defenders can take free kicks. There's just something so satisfying about it, and he certainly can. Easily a red card for Walsall. He had to make the foul. It's one of the weirdest ones you'll see. He almost pulled his shorts down, but it was a fair red card, and the referee got that one right for me. I did think it was a soft penalty given against Walsall, but fair play to Wright, converted it really well. Fair play to Walsall for hanging on with 10 men, going and getting the winner, and fair play to the Walsall fans because it was scenes when that goal went in, and maybe a sign of things to come for Walsall. Are they going to do better than I predicted? I had them right down there. Are Walsall maybe a playoff candidate? We'll have to see. Chesterfield versus Barrow. I went for a Chesterfield win, and Chesterfield, of course, did win. Markande took his goal very well. That's not the type of goal I thought he'd be scoring as a Chesterfield player, but nonetheless, equally important in the 1-0 win. Dunkley and McFadzean, solid at the back for Chesterfield. They could be a very solid partnership. Kyle McFadzean now, I don't even know how old he is. He might be 37, but just never seems to drop his performance. As for Barrow, they're going to benefit when they're back at home, but they need to be more clinical, and Andy Wing has got to get his team firing. But if that is a sign of things to come, Andy Wing is going to have to get his team scoring more goals. Salford versus Crewe. I had this as a Salford win. Crewe 3-1 winners in the end. Great performance from them. It was a great save from Booth from the penalty. A very pinball-like goal for Crewe's first. Kadeem Harris, I had him down as the best transfer for Salford, and he showed exactly why. It was a trademark goal, cut in from the left into the far corner, made it look easy. It gave a bit of hope, but ultimately Connor Thomas got the double. He had the fewest touches on the pitch, but scored 2 goals, knows exactly where to be. 2 well-taken goals as well. Yes, they might be from in around that 6-yard box area, but you still have to score them. You still have to be in the right place. Took them well, and overall, Crewe, what a win. Away from home. Yeah, perfect start. Up next, Colchester versus Tranmere. I went for a Colchester win, and again, I'm surprised to see Tranmere manage to get a draw. It was a great finish, but you can't help but look at there was a bit of poor defending from Colchester for Tranmere's first. Colchester, they will be annoyed they didn't go and get all 3 points. Shout out to Lisby. What a finish from him. What a goal. Very Didier Drogba-esque. Took it really well. He'll have a great season for them, but Colchester ultimately will need more, and as I say, disappointing first game. Up next, Newport County versus Notts County. I had this down as a Notts County win. I was very surprised to see Newport score, but when you look back at it, the defending from Notts County was horrific. Credit to Garner though, you have to be in the right place at the right time, and after the bad defending, he was there to nod the ball in. So yeah, overall for this game, Newport County, good result, good point. Notts County, 2 points dropped. They're going to need to be better. Back at home next. Let's hope they can get the crowd behind them and get a few wins together. Shrewsbury versus Bromley. I went for a draw. It was a draw, a 0-0. And overall, there wasn't much to talk about in this game. Bromley arguably had the best chance of the game. Shrewsbury took a while to get into things. But let's be honest, Shrewsbury maybe just need a bit of time to settle into the league. Bromley, I did predict they're going to struggle a bit more this season. I don't know if they're going to get all the goals they got last season. So yeah, bit of a stalemate, not much to talk on that one. Cambridge versus Cheltenham, I went for a Cambridge win, and they did. On another day, they would have had a couple more, but a fantastic defending from Cheltenham, especially the goal line clearance. I was on my feet when I saw that. Unbelievable defending. I have to say, Kai looked a real threat, and I felt like he was very lively. Cambridge deserved all 3 points. It wasn't the best performance we'll see from Cambridge, but a good way to start the season. 3 points is all you can ask for, and they'll take that into their next games and really start to push on now. Bristol Rovers versus Harrogate. I, of course, had Bristol Rovers to win, and I was shocked to see Harrogate manage to hold on and get the win. I think it's a mixture of Bristol Rovers not being clinical enough. Harrogate, credit where credit is due, defended very well, but I believe it was 2 shots on target from Bristol all game. That is simply not enough. They were at home, the start of the season, up against a relegation candidate team for me and Harrogate, and they completely messed it up. For Harrogate, Duke McKenna, what a goal. Such composure on that chip. Beautiful finish. And if you are a Harrogate fan, let me know how you feel. A lot of people had you down in the relegation zone, but you've just beaten a team that everyone had in and around the playoffs anyway. And overall, for you boys, it is a fantastic start to the season, and I'm sure you were all very happy on Saturday afternoon. Grimsby versus Crawley up next. It was a bit of a soft penalty, I have to say, but nonetheless, Grimsby converted it really well. It was a lovely set piece for the second goal as well, and let's be honest, it could have been 4 or 5 for Grimsby. I thought it was a fantastic team performance. They looked the real deal. Crawley were awful, and if this is a sign of things to come for this season, Crawley fans, it could be a very worrying season indeed. I can't take anything away from Grimsby though. 3-0 winners on the day, great start to the season and looking like a real force in League 2 already. Finally, we have got Accrington versus Gillingham. I had this down as a draw. Bolton took his goal superbly, a very calm and composed finish, really showed his class in my opinion. The Gillingham goal, what to say on this, it was just horrific. It was a corner, it was flicked on, I believe it was actually an own goal in the end. But yeah, not the best from Gillingham in terms of chances created. They hadn't had a shot on target up until that point. Both teams will need to make improvements, but Accrington unlucky not to get 3 points on the day. It'll be very interesting to see how they push on. League 2 Player of the Week, I am going to go for Evan Weir. Not only for a fantastic defensive performance, but what a free kick he scored. Walsall won 2-1 on the day. He was pivotal in both attack and defence. I'm going to go for him. Team of the week in League 2, it had to be Grimsby. Great performance from them as a team. I think they look a real force and will seriously mount a playoff charge. I know we can't get excited. It's only game week 1, but there is a lot to be excited for you Prize Grimsby result, fans. It was only ever going to be one. It's Harrogate beating Bristol Rovers. The shock of the week, in my opinion, across both League 1 and League 2. And Bristol Rovers, a lot left to be desired. They need to improve. They have to score more goals, create more chances, 2 shots on target in the whole game. Credit where credit is due. Harrogate Town fans, let me know down in the comments below. As for Bristol Rovers fans, how you found the game. Owen Evans made an absolute calamity of an error. He didn't learn his lesson. It happened earlier on in the game. He got away with it. Heavy touch. Fleetwood ran through, converted the chance, of course, to an open goal. But at this level, you can't afford to make mistakes like that. And ultimately, Barnet were the better team at the time. Well, that is my take on League 2. Let me know down in the comments if you had anyone else, there was a bigger surprise or maybe a better player. Let me know in the comments down below. And that is a wrap for the first episode of the EFL review. As I say, I'm going to be doing this every single game week. I'm going to have a League 1 and League 2 one, and also a Championship one. I'm going to keep them separate just so the videos aren't as long. But if you enjoyed, please like, please comment and subscribe. I'm very appreciative of all the support we've got so far. As I say, this will be a regular series and I look forward to next game week already. Many thanks once again, and I will see you on the next one.